Hey, it's time for TV Skywriter.
Greetings, everybody. Welcome to TV Skywriter. This is the local edition. Sorry we're a little bit late trying to get this technology together. But anyway, welcome. This edition of TV Skywriter, where I interview interesting people, is primarily for those of us in the Triangle, although anybody in the world can watch, of course. But I try to limit my guests from the Triangle area, Durham, Raleigh, Chapel Hill, Hillsborough, Caldwell, et cetera, et cetera. So today's guest, Lenora Helm. She is a jazz instructor at NCCU, North Carolina Central University. And we're going to talk about this really exciting vocal jazz summer camp. Welcome to the show, Lenora.
Thank you very much, Pat. I'm really glad to be here. I really appreciate you allowing me to come on and share with you.
Well, thank you. But first, before we talk about the summer camp, I've got to ask you about your trip to the Caribbean. I think you went there and also some NCCU jazz students as well.
Yes, one of my college colleagues, Carlos Bislip, is from Aruba. We were in Aruba, in Oranjestad, and Carlos and I went to Berklee College of Music together. And for about the last 10 years, Carlos, he's a percussionist, a drummer, composer, and an educator. And for the last 10 years or so, he's been doing a concert and a series of workshops and activities to support International Jazz Day. And so we went down about a week before International Jazz Day, which is typically every year all over the world on April 30th. So we went down about a week before, and we did workshops, and I took 3 of my graduate jazz studies students, Tyjust Harmon, Maurice Myers, and Marvin E. Thorne Jr., who are wonderful musicians, but also very ready to get into the field, teaching and performing on their own. So Carlos called me and asked me would I be interested, and I said, Aruba, jazz, yeah. And I'm always trying to find a way to take my students somewhere so that they really get a real-world experience. You can do the theoretical part for so long. You can do it in the classroom and in the warm envisages of the stage of NCCU. And you get warm and fuzzy and you get a little comfortable. But what happens when you get pushed into the deep end of the pool, quote-unquote, on the stage in front of a real audience with people who don't know you, don't necessarily, you really get to test a lot of things. And they did a fantastic job. In my company, Vocal Jazz Online, my dream was always, I set it up to work with vocalists anywhere in the world. So Carlos said, he initially called me and said, I have a few vocalists here who they like jazz, but they don't really know much about it yet. They are primarily gospel vocalists. What can you do with them? I said, okay, well, let's put them in Vocal Jazz Online, and we met weekly online through GoToWebinar. And I set up a series of modules and things that they worked on. They learned repertoire, jazz repertoire. They learned how to sight read the music. They learned how to hear chords and scales, all online. And we met every Saturday for about 90 minutes. And I would send them homework and listening, laboratory things, and we did that for 12 weeks. And it culminated with us going to Aruba, working with them one-on-one, just to fine-tune and tweak the songs we had been working on every weekend. And they did the opening concert for me, and they were wonderful.
Wow.
They were wonderful. And these were community-based musicians. These weren't singers who were in a school studying music. These were regular folk who were parents, music lovers, young people.
How about that? Sounds beautiful.
It was really wonderful. It was really, it was a dream come true, and they got certificates. So it felt like for them that they had taken a 3-month course and passed that basic level of understanding of musicianship and skills so that they can perform jazz music.
And you got to extend your outreach from Durham all the way to the Caribbean. That's amazing.
Exactly, exactly. It was wonderful. And it happened to coincide with the weekend Aruba is a territory held by the Dutch, and it happened to be the Queen's birthday. So the Queen and King were there from the Netherlands, and there were people everywhere. So I got to meet the Minister of Education and Minister of Culture, and there were many more people than we would have expected to be just for International Jazz Day and just in Aruba.
So do you think that you will get an invitation to go to maybe the Netherlands and other Dutch territories?
Well, I'm certainly working on it. I'm certainly working on it. You know, I've been as a U.S. Jazz Ambassador to many countries to share music and to teach jazz. So I'm always thinking when someone asks me to perform, who can I teach while I'm there, and who wants to learn about jazz while I'm there? So maybe how some singers are thinking, oh, I want a gig, I want to perform, where's the next performance, concert coming from? I feel like, where's the next classroom that I can, who wants to know this information, and how can I get in front of them?
Nice. So this online experience, was that new for you? Because I'm hearing that now that's like the hot thing, that instructors are now teaching online.
Well, it's kind of the most logical progression of the teacher-learner experience, because, I don't know, 7 billion people in the world, how many phones do we have? You have people who don't have a roof over their heads. Maybe they, and they have a phone. So it's not, what I love about it is it makes things more equitable. If you have access to the internet, or even on your phone, you have mobile connectivity, you can learn something. You don't have to, it's not, education is not only for the haves, so the haves and have-nots, it doesn't have to be that way with something that you need to learn. And so, yes, a lot of people are realizing they can go on the internet and learn anything they want to. So I can go on the internet and learn how to color my hair, bake a cake, build a garden, make a water slide for my kids. Or I can learn things that help my hobbies, my interests, my skills. So educators are some educators are really resistant. They like the brick and mortar example of being able to learn something and teach something. But I've always been open-minded about how things happen and how things work. And at the core of me, I care more about people who can't afford something having access to it.
Right, right. I think that's excellent, because actually I spend most of my day at my computer working on the Durham Skywriter community paper, and very often I have the TV on to keep me company, and I realize instead of watching regular TV, now that I'm able to connect my YouTube to my TV,
right,
I'm mostly watching instructional videos.
Yeah, and a lot of people are, and I think YouTube and Google have figured that out. When you think about the monopoly that Google has on things, it's because of the way people are. It's the experience economy. We've moved out of a certain way of thinking about anything, whether we shop, how we eat, where we go. We're watching TV on the internet.
Yeah.
So I think that, especially for music has always been challenging because we have issues to overcome that you don't have if you're learning English or something like that. And that's in how do you perform over the internet without having that delay get in the way.
Exactly.
And you can find out ways to do anything. But I really am interested. Vocal Jazz Online was built and designed for people to say, I want to learn something for my voice, and how can I have access to it whenever I want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about this Vocal Jazz Summer Camp. Apparently that will be an in-person summer camp, right?
It's an in-person summer camp, but it also has an online component. So the whole goal is, that's why it's called vocaljazzsummercamp.com, because yes, I want people in the Triangle area to come and they see me face to face, at the Sharp 9 Gallery, which is in Durham. It's a great nonprofit space where concerts happen and workshops and so forth. But if you are in Tennessee or in Chicago or in Ottawa, Canada, or in Aruba or in Denmark or London, and you want to hone your vocal skills, you're a teacher, you primarily are a teacher that does a general music classroom or a choir or choral teacher, and you are wanting to know how to teach a vocal jazz piece when you return to school in the fall. This is a way to take a workshop where you don't have to get on an airplane, rent a hotel, rent a car, you know, and go at a sleepaway camp. Because when I looked, there are thousands of of summer camps of all kinds of things, and there are thousands of music camps. But you have to be someone who has the money and the resources to spend the thousands of dollars it takes to go to one of those camps. Mm-hmm. And I thought, and then what about people who are non-traditional kinds of students? They're working community musicians. Mm-hmm. And I learned about that last summer doing my vocal jazz workshop at BU Cafe here in Durham, that it was sold out to capacity we were booked solid every Wednesday, and it was a free workshop because I thought, well, where are the vocalists? What do they want to know? And for sure enough, they're here, they want to know and learn, but maybe they had barriers to being able to get to a program for the cost or the location or access. So you can come every day. It's from 1 to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday. It begins August 3rd to August 7th. And each of the activities that we do are in categories, and all of that material will be online, so people can take the video modules anytime they want, review the material, go over the exercises, do the homework, get coaching during that week. So it's really a gold mine of resources and information, and a really fun experience.
Give us a little hint of what you'll be teaching at your Vocal Jazz Summer Camp.
Well, there are a lot of things that vocalists don't realize they don't know. Because we're able to sing, we don't have to pull out an instrument and put our fingers on anything. We can hum a tune and start singing away. We just go to our records, go to YouTube, or maybe we have somewhere we learn the song, and we just start singing. But there's a language around music that you need to know to be able to successfully work with the piano player or the piano, bass, and drummer. Mm-hmm. So some of the things you need to know will be apparent and very obvious. And then there are other things that you may have never thought about but always come up. So for instance, if I were to give a little mini lesson on tuning your ear, okay? So tuning your ear means that a vocalist has to develop a relationship with every pitch, every note that they hear, because they hear it in abstract. Like I said, they don't touch a piano, they don't touch an instrument. Mm-hmm. So they have to develop their ear to recognize and have their brain connect to what they're hearing. So you need to start with the very basic, the major scale, and we all know, we've heard the song Do a Deer. You know, you have solfege, which are syllables that go to pitches. Mm-hmm. We use the movable do system in America, so that's what I teach from mostly. It's a universal system. Mm-hmm. And if I were going to pick a pitch, let's say, I love using apps and tools that you can have in your toolbox on your phone. So I'm using a piano app here, and I'm just going to use the note B flat. Da da da. And if I were just going to sing the scale, da 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 da, do re mi fa sol la ti do ti la sol fa mi re do. So I want to use that scale as a point of reference, and I'm going to make a point of reference from do to each of the other notes. So I'm going to tune my ear to do, do, and then I'm going to go to the next note, do, re, do, do, re, do. I'm going to go to the next note from after re, which will be mi. Do, re, mi, re, do, mi, do, re, do, mi, do, fa, do, sol, do, la, do, ti, do, do, ti, do, la, do, sol, do, fa, do, mi, do, re, do. So when we do that, if we practice that daily, and we do that in all 12 keys, we are giving ourselves a little ear training lesson or a little ear training drill, getting our ear used to the distance between notes and developing a regular, a sense memory, an ear memory, audiating, being able to hear the note and sing the note and develop that relationship in our ear. And you need to do it every day. And so that's one of the things we'll be working on is jazz vocal ear training. Not just ear training, but jazz vocal ear training specific to vocalist skills. And these are good whether or not you want to be a jazz singer. You may be a gospel or a pop singer, a classical singer. But ear training is a core skill you need. And jazz ear training is the most rigorous and challenging. And so it gives you a really robust a depth of your training that makes you very competitive and very capable of doing just about any repertoire you want to do.
Does that help? Does that training help you to know what key you're singing in? Because sometimes you'll see like at pickup type gigs or jam sessions where the singer doesn't know what the key is, and musicians have to wait for her or him to start singing before they jump in.
Well, exactly, and that's one of the things I hate the most, when singers don't know what key they're singing in, and it's one of the first things we start working on. You develop the ability to know what key you're singing in by having a relationship with your ear. And if you know how to do just that one exercise, you can have a base of reference of where your first beginning note is in the song. I mean, there's a process of knowing what key you're singing your songs in. You have to have the original sheet music so you know what the original melody is, and you have to know where your melody begins. Does your melody begin on mi, or does it begin on la, or does it begin on do? And if you're able to say, oh, I'm in the key of B flat, which is do, but I start on a G, which is la in that key, when they're playing the intro to the song, or they play even the first chord, you can find your pitch reference. But unless you're taught to do that, you're clueless. Then you just walk on stage. You happily walk up there on the stage at the jam session, and you say, I want to sing Summertime. And they say, what key? And you go dark. And you go, I don't know. And they say, just start singing. And those are the kinds of things that make you look like a hobbyist or amateurist, or even put the instrumentalist in the frame of mind where you don't even know the very basic elements of your craft, and you want to get on stage with us. You know, a lot of times singers know so much less than the instrumentalist. They don't need to know how to play a guitar or know how to play a piano, but they need to know the basic language. So it's kind of the way that when we visit another country and we don't even try to speak their language, we're not even showing any respect for their culture and their language, and we just walk up to them and begin speaking in English. You know, so there are many cultures and places where you'll travel, and people don't like that, and they kind of expect it of Americans. But you want to be an informed singer, and you want to know the language of the music.
That makes a lot of sense, because I have heard instrumentalists say that they don't really consider singers musicians.
Exactly.
It's a real insult, but like you said, you have to know your stuff.
Oh yeah, and it's not hard to learn, but it is a language just like your ABCs. You know, you're able to sing before you're able to read and write, because when do we go to school? By the time maybe we're 4, you know, if you go to a pre-kindergarten, maybe 3 1/2, 4, but maybe 5 or 6 is when you actually start to learn the language of whatever is your prominent language in your home, your primary language, and you go to school, for instance here, and you go to school and you begin to learn to read and write. Well, when you come to school, you already know a couple of hundred words. So when a singer recognizes that she likes singing and wants to sing, whether it's karaoke at church or at home events, or they begin singing songs and they learn the melody and the lyrics, but everything that's surrounding that song they don't have any knowledge of. And so this is a way Vocal Jazz Online is just committed to making sure people have access to learn that if they want, in the most affordable way, and in a way that's with community, with other singers of all levels, so you don't have to feel nervous about what you don't know or uninhibited. You can be uninhibited with it and feel like that you're supported to learn at your own pace.
Okay. Now, I know another thing you wanted to discuss was timing, and I'm curious what you mean by timing when it comes to singing, because I have no idea what you mean.
Oh, exactly. So you gave a good example, and while I'm speaking, I'm going to move to my metronome app. You gave a great example when you said you've witnessed jam sessions when the singer goes up and doesn't know the song, the key of the song that they're singing. Well, they also have a hard time placing the timing of the melody. So they know how the song goes and they start singing it. So maybe they sing, "Somewhere there's music, how faint the tune." And they're thinking in their heads the song that they heard on the radio that they've been singing along with, or maybe their voice teacher has given them a song to learn. But the musicians that they walk on the stage with, maybe they've never met. And so they're trying to transfer an experience that they have and a relationship that they have to the song to this brand new person that they've just met without the fundamental language of, I would like to sing the song this fast, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or I would like to sing the song this fast, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So you have to know as a singer the difference in how to say that and how to share that information. So you want to practice with a metronome to do that. And you want to do that because a metronome gives you a steady pulse like this. So if I try to turn this up so you can hear it, right? So I'm on a metronome app. Let's see here.
Nice.
Right? I'm on a metronome app, and it's giving me a steady pulse. So with that pulse, I hear 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I need to know how the pitches in my music move. So there, you have to know the basic 4, at least the basic 4 values of a pitch. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, right? If you clap your hands and you make an indication of the duration of the time that goes by, that's a whole note. If you have one note that you sing, but you hold it over 4 counts in 4/4 time, that's 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's do, do, right? So in that same time tempo right there, if I wanted to do half notes, and half notes are half of the whole note, right? So if I think of a pizza pie, and I cut that pie in half, 3, 4, it's do, 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 do. Or if I want to cut that even further in half, so now my pizza pie is not in halves, it's in fourths, and I have what's the equivalent of each of those slices in a quarter note, right? One note gets 1 count. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So I'm giving you a difference between the whole note, 1, 2, 3, 4. So whole note, 2, half note, 2, 2. Now quarter note, 2, 2, 2, 2. So when I have to come in and they say, what key are you in? And I know my key. And they say, okay, when do I start singing? And they count off the music. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Somewhere there's music, how faint the tune. Somewhere, but I said, oh, that's too slow. I want it faster than that. So, okay, well, maybe you want it at a tempo that's maybe, you know, an average medium swing tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. Somewhere there's heaven, how high the moon, right? Mm-hmm. So knowing just that very basic information makes a big difference for the experience that you have singing when you are having a conversation with someone who doesn't speak your language. It's difficult to communicate. One of you is not going to have a satisfying experience, and maybe the both of you won't be able to really have the kind of conversation where if someone else is listening, maybe they can participate. And in this example of making this analogy, the audience is not aware of what is wrong, but they know something's wrong. They hear the singer in one place and the instrumentalist in another place, or the instrumentalist just wants to get that singer off the stage as fast as possible. Or not to be in a punitive kind of conversation about singers being less than and instrumentalists being greater than, but more so that a singer has a very important role in that they are a storyteller. They're responsible for the story of the song. So if the stories don't get told and get shared, stories in our language and in our culture are the building blocks of like human interaction. So a singer has a role of connecting humanity together. And if the singer is uninformed, their job is not really being done well. Whether they're singing in a church, they're a cantor, or they're the praise and worship leader, or whether they are in a band, or whether they are music therapists, any role of a singer is a sacred relationship and a sacred gift. Mm-hmm. And they need to have the knowledge and tools to be able to do it. So those are some of the things that we begin with on day one. And whether you're a teacher who's taught all kinds of music and styles, you could be a guitarist, you can be a band leader. Maybe you are a band leader and you want to include a vocalist or a couple of vocalists in your band. So there'll be tools for educators and for singers of all levels in Vocal Jazz Summer Camp to be able to work and improve what they need to do.
Sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. May I ask you one question about timing, though, as a non-singer?
Sure.
Okay. I'm going to ask this from the perspective of a person who just likes to listen to music, okay? There are certain singers I really like, and I thought you were going to address this with timing. I might be wrong in even asking this, but there are certain singers, okay, like Chaka Khan.
Right.
João Gilberto.
Yes.
And Shirley Horn. They're all completely different from each other.
Yes.
The reason why I like those particular three is because they're very playful when it comes to timing. Like a lot of times, Chaka Khan will run ahead of the beat and wait for everybody to catch up. And João Gilberto is the opposite. He'll sometimes hang so far behind you wonder if he's going to be able to keep up with everybody. And then they're just very playful.
Yes.
And then Shirley Horn, I can't imagine playing behind her because she's so relaxed. Mm-hmm, I think I would be so mesmerized by her performance that I would forget to play. Singing behind, playing behind her. So can you address that playfulness in timing and how, I mean, is that important or is that just unique to those three singers?
Oh, it's extremely important. Every singer has their own style. So that's a style question, right? So for those three singers, the style that they address, that's natural to them when they address their repertoire, and it's a very personal thing. Just like you may like to wear sneakers every day, someone else likes to wear high heel pumps. So it's a personal question, but it also has to do with your core value about music, right? So Chaka Khan has a gift and a natural innate talent for certain ways to stylize, as does Shirley Horn. And Shirley Horn Miles Davis always pointed to as his inspiration for someone who was a master of time. She has the ability to use the space, the rests that are in music between notes, in such a profound way so that you viscerally, that you feel the time as if you're eating a cookie, you know.
Wow.
And she was always like that. I just remember seeing her perform at the Blue Note, and she does everything slowly. She came to the piano slowly. She had long gloves that were to her elbow, and she took off each finger of each glove very slowly and laid them on the piano in this methodical, almost meditative way. And she sings like this. And she would, and someone interviewed her, and she says, "What's the hurry for? You know, what's the rush about?" But to answer your question specifically in musicianship terms or music terms, from a music perspective, if you don't know the basic information that I just shared with you of counting, if you can't count a simple this, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the falling leaves drift by my window, the autumn leaves of red and gold. If I can't keep that in place, I'm not going to be able to properly improvise or change or stylize the rhythm. Because you can't get home by an alternate route unless you know the way home, correct? So if there's a car accident on the highway and you need to take a route around the traffic, you need to know where home is. You need to know where your true north is. So in order to have an alternative way, and stylizations are alternative ways, right? The composer wrote this, and you need to know how to go. The falling leaves drift by my window, the falling leaves of red and gold, right? So I can't do that if I don't know the basics.
So you think those three singers did start out singing really straight and then found their own way of interpreting the song?
Well, no, because, you know, they may have never felt the need to or been required to or asked to do the very straight melody. They may have always sung in that way, but not usually. Usually those three musicians are, you know, Shirley Horn was a classically trained pianist, and João Gilberto, these are musicians who were trained. And Chaka Khan, though not formally trained, was trained in her experience and in her relationship with the musicians, Rufus, that she grew up with in Chicago, and got her training by her experience. So she understands, okay, this is the melody. If a composer came to her and says, this is the melody, she made a personal choice to sing the rhythms differently. So, you know, it's really important to not skip steps. Sometimes singers are notorious for wanting to skip steps. They'll say, oh, these are some of the myths. Oh, if I take training, I'll lose my edge. If I learn, I don't need to study because I already have a great voice. If I go to school, it'll mess up my natural abilities. Someone will interfere and make me sing like they want me to sing. Well, that's about the most cockamamie thing I've ever heard of. It's like there is a logic to it in some way, but it's also a fool's folly, as my granddad will say. If you think education is expensive, try ignorance, right? And I don't mean to put anyone down or downplay anything, but it's a craft and a language, and you need to learn the rules of any language. Music is a language. So, you know, I call them the 11 ahas of the vocal jazz summer camp. And the very first thing is for people to listen to music every day. They need to listen to jazz, and they need to listen to the music that they want to sing, because a lot of the music is nuanced. You know, you need to hear the elders play the music. You need to hear all of the music of when jazz began and just follow up and learn what it sounds like. You're following a craft and a music that has been around for hundreds of years. And so you listen to it so that you know how to put your music and what you'd like to do and express in the context of what the genre really has. And you want to set goals every day, and you want to practice and have a routine for those goals. You want to practice the magic scale that every vocalist needs to know in all 12 keys. And in order to learn that magic scale, you just come to Vocal Jazz Summer Camp. There are lots more, and they can get them on the website, but...
Huh. Okay. So how do people sign up, and how much does it cost, and how do they connect with you?
Well, they sign up from vocaljazzsummercamp.com, and they go there and then get all the information and sign up right there online, and that's where it's the members portal where they will get all of their information. Even if they come to the face-to-face camp, every day they can go there and get all the tools they receive that day. They can practice when they want with it, the practice videos, the instructional videos, the PDFs, the downloads, the MP3s. It's only $125, Pat, for a 5-day camp. That's 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. every day. Wow. And that $125 is for the face-to-face class and the lifetime access to all that information.
Sounds like a good deal to me.
Well, we hope you'll come and visit us while we're there.
Well, I'd love to drop by.
Yeah.
You won't ask me to sing, I hope, because, yeah, some people are gifted in certain areas, and that's not one of the areas that I'm gifted in, that's singing. I don't mind admitting that. But I can't wait to, to watch at least.
Yeah. Well, it will be great to have you there for sure. You're welcome. I want as many people to know about jazz and know how to listen to jazz. It'll be great for someone who's a jazz enthusiast and just wants to know how to listen to jazz. You don't have to learn how to listen to jazz, but if you're curious and an enthusiast, just how people take golf lessons or golf clinics or look at golf videos, it's the same thing. Learn about the music that you love.
I'm going to leave you with this one last statement. I grew up listening to jazz. My parents loved jazz. I love jazz. But whenever I would talk to somebody, like a new friend or whatever, and I would ask them if they liked jazz, you know what they would tell me very often?
What would they say?
They'd say, well, no, I don't really understand it.
Right.
I never knew how to counter that.
Well, they think it's something to understand.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
They think it's something to understand. For instance, and I read a couple of reasons why that is. When people hear instrumental music, music without any words and lyrics, they don't know what to focus on. Oh. So because our minds, our brains are used to language. So when we have words to follow the melody on, we can connect to something that's familiar, just like in everyday speaking language. But in instrumental music, we don't understand what's happening because we don't have anything to follow. Oh. So that's why singers have that's one of the reasons. Some other reasons are the perception that's been manipulated in the media about what jazz is and isn't. Because do they listen? You'll have the same people say, I don't understand jazz. And they'll go to a classical concert or an opera concert, and I want to ask them, do you understand that? Most of the time they don't understand that either, but the perception is that there is a perception around it that it's dignified and you're an intellectual and you're educated if you participate in that. So the popular styles of music, whatever they are, most of them have lyrics attached to them, and melody and lyrics, so they have something to follow along. But often when someone tells me I don't understand jazz, I says, well, maybe there's some other things that if you listen to it, you might change your mind. And they say, for instance, what? And then I share with them a Bill Evans piano record, I share with them Miles Davis, Kind of Blue, things that are a little more easily digestible because they don't have a lot of things happening at one time. When things are fast-paced, bebop music, some other kinds of fusion music, a lot of horns and things, they sometimes get a little afraid that they don't know what's going on. But you just need musicians who also invite you in because they do music that's about dancing and the spirit of community. If you go to a trombone shorty concert, do you need to understand what's going on? You're going to really feel that music. You know, you're going to really enjoy it. If you hear B.B. King playing, if you hear the beautiful saxophone of John Coltrane, you know, so it's just what did they hear? And I would make them say, listen, I'll send you some things to listen to. You know, if you tell them, listen, would you be interested in me sending you a couple of things to listen to? And they might be a little more open if they have like a listening coach. So, you know, offer to be their listening coach and see if you can get their personality, their personal opinion about it.
Well, as a DJ, I do have a playlist of what I call crowd pleasers when it comes to jazz, because very often, I mean, I wouldn't, if I were playing just for, you know, an everyday eclectic type crowd, I wouldn't put on Ornette Coleman. Well, I might play Please, Please. But anyway, for the most part, you know, Killer Joe.
Right.
You know,
right. Billy Golson.
What was that by Lee Morgan? Sidewinder.
Sidewinder or doo-dee-dee-dee-dee-doo-dee. What's the name of that song? Doo-dee-dee-dee-dee. The name escapes me at the moment.
I know. Can't think of it right now.
I know, it's like the moment, but it'll come to us when we finish our interview. But there's so many beautiful pieces of music that you can share with people, make a playlist for them. And as a DJ, those crowd pleasers are so much more abundant now because you have all of these streaming services that are trying to make customized playlists available for people. But when you get a human DJ like yourself who can, with their experience, add some of the history and the information, right? Because you hear a song, I can, you know, my nephew, he heard a song I was playing on my iPad, and he said, oh, I like that song, what is it? And so I was able to tell him the history about the song and who was the composer and who was performing. Well, you don't get that on iMusic or Spotify or Pandora. You don't get that human element of someone who says, oh, you know, well, that was Lee Morgan's Sidewinder, and he recorded that tune, you know, and you get to tell all the people who were on the record. And all of that information makes it human. It's the element that makes the music real and alive. So
I can see that you're a fabulous instructor, and I think anyone signing up for this Vocal Jazz Summer Camp is really gonna get an awful lot more for their money they would have ever dreamed. Seriously.
Thank you. Well, I hope to. I want people to leave feeling full as a tick. You know how you eat until you can't eat anymore? I want them to come and get as much as they want and then some. And we have 3 fabulous teachers, the same graduate students I took to Aruba with me will be teaching with me.
Nice.
And we have a guest instructor, the fabulous Dr. Trinice Robinson Martin, who has, you know, all kinds of degrees in jazz studies and performance and vocal pedagogy, and she's certified in contemporary vocal music pedagogy, and she will join us in an online webinar that week. So we have stacked the deck. There's no way you won't have a great experience in Vocal Jazz Summer Camp.
Great, and that is going to be August 3rd through 7th.
August 3rd through the 7th.
And the local face-to-face component is going to be at the Sharp 9. And it is on, I think it's called Industry Drive. Is that the name of it?
Right. It's one of those streets that you have to look for that street to know it's there.
Well, it's right by I almost said Malcolm X.
I know. I was just in Chicago.
And Fayetteville Road. So,
right. The address is 4608 Industry Lane.
There you go.
Right, 4608 Industry Lane, and it's right in Durham, not far from the campus of NCCU, but there's parking right there, which is great. And the owner of Sharp 9 Gallery is a really wonderful community-based musician, and he really makes sure that, Dave, he really makes sure that we have some place to convene as a jazz community in Durham, and that anyone could come there and learn, hear music. They have great concert series. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited that this is the next product of Vocal Jazz Online, a Vocal Jazz Summer Camp, that Durham finally has a vocal summer camp. That Durham finally has a Vocal Jazz Summer Camp. I'm really excited.
Well, congratulations, Lenora Helm. And I'm hoping that at, I don't know, maybe a festival or concert series or whatever, we'll start seeing these same people taking your instruction, venturing out and singing in front of the public. I'd love to see that.
Oh, well, you know, that night we're going to have a culminating concert on August 7th. So we're going to go ahead and put the information out about that so people can buy tickets who want to come and see the concert and the product of the entire that event. And that will help us raise money to continue doing this every year. But on August 7th, that evening, we'll have a concert of the students from the workshop and the teachers and myself. So we're pretty excited about it.
Nice. One last question before we go.
Yes.
And this is for the singers. I don't sing, but this is for the singers. Is there a difference in taking care of your voice in the summer as opposed to the rest of the year? Because we're having a very, very hot summer. And I'm wondering if that affects the voice at all. Oh,
sure. Well, you know, your voice has to always have a lot of hydration. You always have to keep hydrated. So you have to drink lots and lots of liquids, lots of water. You want to, the air conditioning that you go in and out of, I'd like to try to keep my house a little warm. So sometimes the air condition can really irritate your voice. You're in a very cold place and then you go into the hot, hot air. That drastic change, you know, your vocal cords are mucous membranes, and you know, that dryness from one climate to the next has an impact. In the summer, we tend to do outdoor activities a lot. We sweat a lot, and sweating is good. But you just want to have a good balance of a lot of liquids. Stay away from sugar and try to get a lot of rest. And have a diet that has lots of protein, not too many carbs, and things that your body processes as sugar. And that sugar creates an inflammation response in your body, and the inflammation response in your body creates mucus. So it's like a bad, you know, cycle of things that just keep feeding one another. So you just stay as hydrated as possible and try to stay out of really, really cold air conditioning as much as possible.
Okay. Well, thank you for that advice. I'll thank you for the singers. And with that, thank you so much, Lenora Helm, for being on the show. And go ahead.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. I think Durham Skywriter serves an amazing role in the community of informing people, of letting everyone anywhere have access to the information. And you are our community hero for doing that. We appreciate you.
Wow, well, thank you. And I appreciate you and everyone watching. Hope you continue to watch as I look for interesting people like Lenora Helm to interview. If you'd like to be a guest on TV Skywriter, Local Edition, and if you're out of town and you'd like to be on the Sunday show, just give me a call, 919-809-9682, or write to durhamskywriter@gmail.com. With that, I bid you adieu for now, and I'll see you later, and I'll see you later too, Lenora.
Thank you.
Okay, ciao for now.
Bye.
When Charlie speaks of Lester, you know someone great is gone. The sweetest swinging music music man had a Porky Pig hat on, a bright star in a dark age, where the bandstand had 1,000 ways of refusing a black man admission. Black musicians in those days, they